Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say might make you uncomfortable. The world doesn't destroy weak people. It destroys good people who don't know how to stop being used. Welcome back, warriors. I'm not here to motivate you today. I'm here to confront you. Because I've seen what happens when someone lives their entire life trying to be the good one. I watched someone close to me fall apart doing exactly that. He gave endlessly. He forgave constantly. He tolerated things that should have never been tolerated. He sacrificed his peace for people who wouldn't even remember his name if he disappeared. And one day he did disappear. 3 years later I saw him again. But he wasn't the same person. The softness was gone. The hesitation was gone. The need to please gone. He looked at me and said something I will never forget. The world didn't change. I did. I stopped being someone people could break. That sentence didn't just stay with me, it exposed me. Because I realized that wasn't just his story, it was mine. And whether you admit it or not, it's yours too. Right now there are two versions of you living inside your mind. The first version is the one most people see. The one who explains too much, apologizes too quickly, accepts too little, and hopes desperately that one day people will treat you the way you treat them. You overextend yourself to be understood. You shrink yourself to be accepted. You exhaust yourself trying to earn respect. And the more you give, the less they value you. Then there's the second version, the one you rarely let out, the quiet one, the controlled one, the one who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, doesn't argue, the one who can walk away without a word and never look back. That version of you doesn't need validation. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't tolerate disrespect. It simply removes access. No noise, no drama, no guilt, just distance and power. You've been living as the first version for too long, and it's slowly destroying you. It's made you gentle where you needed to be firm, available where you should have been selective, understanding where you should have drawn the line. Today, that ends. Today you begin the transformation. Not into someone cruel, but into someone controlled, someone precise, someone unbreakable. There are 8 shifts you must go through. 8 internal changes that will strip away the version of you that keeps getting hurt and replace it with someone people can no longer manipulate. Each shift will cost you something. Comfort, familiarity, identity. But what you gain in return is power. Let's begin. First shift. Stop giving your energy to people who don't deserve it. Your problem was never that you cared too much. That's what you've been telling yourself to feel better. The truth is harsher. You didn't just care. You invested blindly. You gave your time, your focus, your emotional capacity to people who never had the depth to value it in the first place. You kept showing up even when their effort disappeared. You stayed consistent even when their behavior became inconsistent. You kept forgiving even when nothing actually changed. You kept explaining yourself even when they made it clear they weren't listening. And somewhere in the back of your mind, you held on to a quiet hope that maybe if you just gave a little more, tried a little harder, stayed a little longer, they would finally recognize your worth. But they didn't. And the uncomfortable truth is, they won't. Because people don't suddenly wake up and value what they've been getting without effort. Human nature doesn't work like that. People don't value what is constantly available. They value what feels scarce, what feels like it can disappear. When something is always there, always giving, always forgiving, it loses weight. It becomes background noise, invisible, predictable, replaceable. And the more consistent your tolerance became, the more comfortable they became crossing your limits. Every time you ignored disrespect, you taught them it was acceptable. Every time you suppressed your discomfort, you reinforced their behavior. Every time you stayed when everything in you said leave, you proved that your presence didn't need to be earned. And once someone realizes they don't have to earn you, they stop respecting you. Not because they're evil, but because you removed the requirement for effort. That's the part most people avoid facing. You weren't just being kind, you were being available without standards. And there is a massive difference between the two. Kindness, when combined with boundaries, creates respect. But kindness without boundaries? It creates access. Unlimited, unchecked, and often abused access. And access without consequence always leads to exploitation. This is where everything must change. You need to learn how to pull back. Not emotionally, not dramatically, but strategically. Not from a place of anger, but from a place of awareness. Because anger reacts. Awareness decides. You don't need to cut everyone off. You just need to stop giving everyone full access. Not everyone deserves your time. Not everyone deserves your attention. Not everyone deserves your emotional investment. Some people are only meant to experience you in limited doses. Some people are meant to lose access entirely. And some were never meant to have access in the first place. You need to start observing before giving. Watching how people show up. How they respond. How they reciprocate. Because respect is revealed through consistency, not words. And from now on, your energy will not be given based on emotion. It will be given based on evidence. Understand this clearly. Your presence is not something people are entitled to. It is something they qualify for. It is not a right. It is a privilege. And privileges can be revoked, quietly, calmly, without explanation. So from this moment forward, you don't give more to be valued. You give less and watch who notices. You don't chase appreciation, you observe behavior. And you don't stay where you're tolerated, you move where you're respected. Because the moment you start treating your energy like something valuable, is the moment others are forced to do the same. Second shift. Turn your pain into your advantage. Pain is not your enemy. It only feels like one because you've been trying to escape it instead of understanding it. In reality, pain is your greatest instructor. It doesn't lie to you. It doesn't sugarcoat reality. It doesn't protect your ego. It strips everything down to truth. It reveals what comfort was hiding. It exposes you. It shows you exactly where you were vulnerable, where you ignored red flags, where you trusted without verification, where you gave more than you should have, where you depended on something that was never stable. Pain doesn't come to destroy you. It comes to show you what needs to be rebuilt. But most people never reach that realization. They feel pain and collapse under it. They complain about it. They blame others for it. They replay it in their minds without learning from it. And worst of all, they wait. They wait for fairness. They wait for closure. They wait for someone to fix what was broken. But life doesn't operate on fairness, and pain doesn't come with explanations. So they stay stuck, reliving the same cycles, making the same mistakes, trusting the same patterns, because they never stopped to study what hurt them. But powerful individuals move differently. They don't run from pain. They face it. They sit with it. They break it down piece by piece. They ask better questions. Not why me, but what did this expose? Not who hurt me, but where was I blind? Not how do I feel better, but how do I become better? Because pain, when examined, becomes data, and data creates strategy. Every betrayal becomes a lesson in awareness. It shows you who people really are, not who you wanted them to be. Every rejection becomes a mirror. It forces you to confront where you attached your worth to something external. Every failure becomes a blueprint. It highlights where your discipline broke down, where your preparation was lacking, where your mindset needed strengthening. Nothing is wasted unless you refuse to learn from it. Pain is information, raw, unfiltered, precise. And if you have the courage to face it without distraction, it becomes transformation. But transformation requires honesty. You have to stop protecting your old self. Stop defending your past decisions. Stop justifying the choices that led you here. Because growth begins the moment you say, I see where I went wrong and I will not repeat it. That's where power starts. Understand this. Pain is not something to avoid. It's something to use. It's a tool, a refining force that sharpens your awareness and strengthens your discipline. The people who become dangerous in this world are not the ones who avoided suffering. They are the ones who went through it and came out with clarity. Clarity about people. Clarity about themselves. Clarity about what they will never tolerate again. So stop asking, why did this happen to me? That question keeps you stuck in victimhood. Replace it with something stronger. What is this trying to teach me? What pattern do I need to break? What weakness do I need to eliminate? Because within every painful moment, there is a hidden advantage, a lesson, a shift, a realization, something that, if understood correctly, will make you harder to break next time, but only if you're willing to learn, only if you're willing to face the truth without running from it, only if you're willing to turn your wounds into weapons. Third shift, eliminate the need to be understood. This one will change everything. You explain too much, you justify too much, you try too hard to make people see your intentions. But here's the truth. Most people are not trying to understand you. They are trying to interpret you in a way that benefits them. The more you explain yourself, the more you expose your emotional patterns. And once someone understands your patterns, they can control your reactions. You don't need to explain why you left. You don't need to explain why you changed. You don't need to explain why you set boundaries. Let them misunderstand you. Let them label you. Let them assume, because the moment you stop trying to control their perception, you take control of yourself. Silence is not weakness, it is discipline. And disciplined people are dangerous. Fourth shift, detach from anything that threatens your peace. Attachment is the root of most of your suffering. You hold on too tightly, to people, to outcomes, to expectations. And when things don't go the way you hoped, you break. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't lose yourself in the process of caring. You can appreciate someone without needing them. You can love someone without tolerating disrespect. You can walk away without feeling guilty. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. When you stop reacting, you start observing. And when you stop needing, you become powerful. Fifth shift. Build boundaries that cannot be crossed. Boundaries are not optional. They are essential. Without them, people will take as much as you're willing to give, and then ask for more. Every time you say yes when you mean no, you weaken yourself. Every time you ignore your discomfort, you betray yourself. Boundaries are not about controlling others. They are about controlling access. Who gets your time? Who gets your attention? Who gets your energy? And once those boundaries are clear, everything changes. People either respect them or remove themselves. Either way, you win. Sixth shift. Master silence. Silence is power. In a world where everyone is talking, the one who listens has the advantage. When you speak less, you observe more. When you react less, you understand more. And when you reveal less, you become unpredictable. Unpredictability creates authority, because people cannot control what they cannot anticipate. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to prove anything. Sometimes the strongest move is saying nothing at all. Seventh shift. Be selective with your loyalty. Loyalty is valuable, but only when it's earned. Blind loyalty is dangerous because it makes you predictable, and predictable people are easy to control. You don't owe loyalty to people who haven't proven they deserve it. You don't owe commitment to people who don't respect you. Your loyalty should be based on consistency, not emotion. Trust should be built, not assumed. And once someone breaks that trust, access should be removed, without hesitation. 8th shift, become untouchable. This is the final stage, the point where nothing external controls you. No insult shakes you. No rejection breaks you. No manipulation affects you. Because you are no longer dependent on anything outside of yourself. You don't seek approval. You don't chase validation. You don't rely on others for your sense of worth. You build yourself. You refine yourself. You control yourself. And when you reach this level, people notice. Not because you demand attention, but because your presence commands it. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need to say anything. You simply are. And that is enough. The world will test you. It will challenge your patience. It will question your worth. It will push you to your limits. But now, you are different. You don't react the same. You don't tolerate the same. You don't give the same. Because you understand something most people never will. Your peace is your responsibility. Your boundaries are your protection. And your silence is your strength. You are no longer the version of yourself that breaks. You are the version that adapts. The version that observes. The version that moves with intention. And from this point forward, no one gets access to you without earning it. No one keeps access to you without respecting it. And no one controls you ever again. Say it to yourself, I don't break anymore. I evolve. And that changes everything.